There should be something in terms of helping parents to develop an attachment perspective, and I'll just say something very short on that, because for years the perspective of parenting has been around this idea of learning and reinforcement, okay, theory. And, with the idea and the intention that if you, you modify behavior, you modify your reward behavior to get your child to act in ways that will either increase or decrease that particular behavior. Attachment really stresses the idea of, I'll say it one more time. Attachment stresses connection versus correction, okay? Connection versus correction. That proximity, which attachment is based upon proximity, proximity to a loved one tranquilizes the nervous system. Emotional reactivity and affiliation and attachment really happen through the interactive process with a caregiver and an infant's midbrain and limbic system, okay? And these parts have to be in conjunction and working together for attachment to occur. Whereas attachment describes the whole idea and concept of safety, what intersubjectivity describes is really the manner in which we learn about our world. We learn about ourselves, we learn about our family, we learn about the larger community and the culture. And Dan says it represents the fundamental interpersonal activity that exists within all relational bonds. Swing dance or a tango, that you have to do it with a partner because it doesn't work if you don't have a partnership that's going on there. That's the relationship of intersubjectivity, is really joining in intention, meaning, and affect with that individual. The second element has to do with attunement. We need attunement, which really is match vitality affect to facilitate this intersubjective experience, okay? And this can be happening verbally and or non-verbally, okay, this kind of attachment. Dan Siegel, which there's probably been a lot of people out there that have seen Dan Siegel speak or read his books, talks about a parent repeatedly matches the vitality of their infant's nonverbal expressions. And they follow rhythm, beat, intensity, duration, contour, and shape of expressions. And how this happens is through the parents, the caregiver's senses. Eye contact, facial expression, gestures, movement, voice tone, timing, and touch. Oh, look at this cute little baby here. Oh, he's so sweet. And just kind of bringing them close and reflecting also what's going on with that particular infant as well, too. If they're, raising their hands, then the parents raising their hands. They're pointing, the parents pointing, and all of that. Have some of you seen the, what is it? I want to say it's the blank stare experiment. Yeah. And that's kind of an interesting experience because you have a parent that is interacting on this way from a very intersubjective and attuned way and is just really connecting with this child. And then this parent has been instructed to turn around like this. And when she comes back, blank stare. Blank stare. And so the experience is that the child goes through the machinations of trying to, connect with mom and is cooing and laughing and, making sounds and hand movements and all of that. And then after a while, the child begins to dysregulate. Why? Because they're not being attuned with at that moment. And they're feeling that loss of connection and how vital that is. And so you see that child extremely, dysregulate, and the arm movements start to get, bigger, and the sounds get louder, and all of that. So it's very profound. Fortunately, the mom goes back to attunement, and that baby gets regulated. Okay, so attunement is extremely important in terms of driving this process of intersubjectivity. I often say to parents that they've got to they've got to be able to manage whatever their kids throw at them, because that's one of the things that children really want to know is no matter what it is that's going on, that their parents will handle it. And handle it means that they won't dysregulate, that they'll stay safe, they'll stay secure, and all of that. And if you've ever dealt with or currently dealing with foster and adopt kids, okay, that is an increasing challenge that happens as a part of the relationship between the caregiver and the child. The therapist's task is to search under the presenting problems. You know, the presenting problems would be, you know, oh, my kid won't pick up their dirty clothes. God, they won't even throw them in the laundry basket. You know, I've made that available to them for years and they still won't do it. Okay, that's example. Okay, and so as a therapist's job is to help families find new meaning within these kind of problems. Underneath this statement, I just took a few things that I've heard my parents say and sort of put them in one large kind of sentence. I feel disrespected. I feel like I'm losing control. I feel inept and ineffective. How am I going to help my child to be ready for the future? My parents never helped me. I'm an awful parent. And usually this is what's beneath that. And to look at, you know, sort of the presenting problem is only your first step. And to help to coach your parents in working with them to find new meaning. All right, the fifth element is PACE. Okay, and PACE stands for playfulness, acceptance, curiosity, and empathy. And you will find this throughout all of Dan's writings. He talks about these four, how do I want to call them, attitudes. These four attitudes that help to activate the intersubjective process here. And acceptance in therapy really communicates a commitment to the person in the confidence that we have in them. Okay, so we have confidence in that particular person. Without a sense of acceptance, fears of rejection and abandonment come up. So it's important to be able to accept. And with working with parents, helping them, and I'll talk a little bit more about this later, helping them to sort of separate out behavior from the person. Okay? And also looking at, you know, you may not like that particular behavior, but you accept the behavior because that's what you have to work with. Parents also, as you imagine, need some help in this particular area of acceptance. And, you know, so many times kids will say to their parents, I hate you. I mean, that's one of the worst things that a parent can hear, you know, from their child. And it's because it goes, you know, right into the gut. And so helping parents to understand that a lot of this is subjective, it's in the moment, that we all make statements that we don't necessarily mean, and helping them to respond to that. And it's like in a different kind of way, through acceptance, taking it in, being curious about it. Tell me more about that. And so curiosity really is the next piece for PACE. And this really allows for presenting and emerging themes to be explored. So this is important to help parents to be able to find that empathy within them, to understand their child's experience. And I say the word experience. I'm not talking about behavior, but it's really understanding and getting connected with the child inside, their inner life. That's an important piece. As a DDP therapist, I'm really expecting that parents are going to provide, you know, safety and security for their children. Really, that one of the goals of family therapy, and when you're first working with parents, is that this is your first attachment connection, is with a parent, so that you become an attachment figure to the parent. And so then there's a harmony that's developed around working with a child, and so they're an attachment figure for the child, you're an attachment figure for the child, and then you are working in concert, and then hopefully through their experience of understanding this process, dyadic developmental psychology process, and working with PACE, then they are able to operate with you and together. And sometimes I really feel it's almost like having a co-therapist in the room, because we're on the same page, we're working in harmony, and we're working in concert together. Being a parent is an extremely important role, and if we're feeling like we're not doing a very good job at it, then we feel shame. So that's something to understand about all of our parents, and I think that's true, of course, with individuals and couples that may come into our practice, but I think that there are added factors for parents. The added factors for parents are that oftentimes it's an outside source that's pointing out a difficulty with the child or the family.